Yeah, this is a very interesting story if you haven't had a chance to take a look at this. And it is a new warning from the Department of Homeland Security. The U.S. is ripe for recruiting extremists, according to this, but it may not be who you think. Feds say that the state of the economy and the election of President Obama could lead to an environment of right-wing extremism in this country.
Returning veterans possess combat skills and experience that are attractive to right-wing extremists. Homeland Security, as well as intelligence and analysis, is concerned that right-wing extremists will attempt to recruit and radicalize returning veterans in order to boost their violent capabilities. And that is the section of the bulletin that has the Legion and others so angry today.
When you read it, you say, well, what is a right-wing extremist, right? And what was disturbing to me is the definition, which could encompass a large group of people.
Well, sure, and I actually think it's worse than that. And before we start, this is the report, which is about 12 or 13 pages, but that we all read.
Right.
But this is a summary of the report. This is the unclassified version. The classified version, I would guess, from having read classified versus unclassified, is probably about an inch thick. This has no meaningful footnotes, no names, no dates, no places. This is just the summary. And this went to every police department in the country, and it says right on the face of it, don't give it to the media. So obviously, Homeland Security is not happy we're talking about it. They lump in, along with skinhead and race-based hate groups, the following: anti-abortion activists, people who are concerned about immigration and security at the borders, people who think the federal government is too big and legislates in areas not authorized by the Constitution, people who would prefer that their government be state or local. These are absolutely legitimate, perfectly acceptable views throughout all of our history to hold. The country began with a debate between Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson as to what the federal government should do. So this is a radical, irresponsible condemnation of legitimate political dissent, which is terrifying. The constitutional implication is the following. The First Amendment requires breathing room. I can say something negative about the government, but am I going to say it if 5 DHS, Department of Homeland Security agents, are staring me in the face? I might be deterred. Well, I wouldn't be, but others might be. So if the government chills your rights, deters you from expressing them, that's against the law.
And they're talking about, chatter on the internet, and as you say, it doesn't point out specifics. It doesn't say this is a particular area that we're concerned about. These people have exhibited, an interest in violent acts, things along those lines. How does it color this, that the White House has distanced itself from this document? And as Catherine Herridge rightly reported, there is one that also looks at left-wing groups. This is one of a number of wide assessments out there. But do we have to be concerned about the language in these, and might you be concerned about the language in the other one as well?
Yes, we do have to be concerned, and this is something Andrea may want to talk about in a minute. And here's why. Because in the prior administration, with much Republican support and with some of us libertarians screaming bloody murder, the Congress gave the president the authority to give FBI and Department of Homeland Security agents the authority to write their own search warrants, so they can surveil phone records and computer keystroke records without getting a warrant from a judge. Right. Now that the government is headed by people whose views are not the same as those who headed it when this law was enacted, we have more to fear, because you give this kind of power to the government and they will use it to make the government stronger and individual liberty weaker. If the government declares legitimate dissent to be extremist, the government will be profoundly violating the oath it took to uphold the Constitution.